Have you ever wished you could speak with such precision that the room just stops? Not by yelling, not by insulting, but by using calm, deliberate intelligence. Picture yourself in the middle of a tense exchange, and with one well-chosen sentence, the other person slows down, changes their expression, and suddenly has nothing left to say. Today, I'm going to share 5 statements that carry that kind of weight. When used correctly, they don't escalate conflict, they end it. Whether you're dealing with a superior at work, a stubborn relative, or someone trying to overpower you through pressure, these responses protect your dignity while quietly shifting the balance of control in your favor. Stay alert, because the third one, if applied with precision, can neutralize even a seasoned manipulator. Watch until the end, because these aren't just phrases to hear, they're tools you'll want to rehearse. And when you finally use them, you'll recognize the silence immediately. Everyone has experienced that moment of frustration. You're making sense. Your point is reasonable, necessary, even obvious, yet the other person refuses to hear it. Worse still, it feels like they're winning. Not because their argument is stronger, but because they're louder, faster to interrupt, or more aggressive in tone. We've been conditioned to believe that volume equals strength, that force equals certainty, and that intimidation equals respect. But that isn't respect. That's temporary control. Real power isn't about overpowering someone. It's about communicating with such composure and clarity that resistance collapses on its own. Response 1. I don't have to be loud to be correct. Some people believe raising their voice gives them authority. They talk over others, heighten the tension, and expect you to match their intensity. The moment you do, you've stepped into their arena. This statement allows you to exit that chaos without abandoning the conversation. Picture a workplace discussion, a family disagreement, or a heated exchange in public. The other person escalates, trying to dominate the space. You don't mirror their energy. You remain steady and say, calmly, that you don't need volume to be right. In a single moment, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer reacting, you're setting the tone. This response draws a clear boundary. It tells everyone listening that you operate from reason, not emotion. Ancient philosophers understood this deeply. They taught that mastery over oneself isn't suppression, it's strength. When you demonstrate restraint while others unravel, your confidence speaks louder than any raised voice ever could. You show that your argument stands on its own. And when calm meets chaos, observers instinctively recognize who holds real authority. Response 2. How you speak reflects you, not me. When someone comes at you with ridicule, sarcasm, or open disrespect, the instinct to strike back is strong. This is where many people lose their ground. This statement doesn't counterattack. It doesn't beg for understanding. It simply holds up a mirror. By saying that their tone says more about them than about you, you refuse to absorb their hostility. You're not labeling them. You're not defending yourself. You're declining to participate in their behavior. And that's what makes it powerful. Imagine someone throws a cutting remark your way. Instead of reacting, you respond evenly with this line, and then pause. What follows is often uncomfortable silence. They're forced to hear themselves. The weight of their own words lands back where it belongs. The ancient thinkers believed that the strongest response to wrongdoing was not imitation, but contrast. By remaining composed, you preserve your inner order while compelling the other person to confront their lack of it. You keep your peace, and in doing so, you quietly take control of the exchange. There's a deeper lesson running beneath all of this. The moment you stop reacting the way people expect, the entire interaction shifts. Change your response, and you rewrite the rules of the exchange. This is for those who've decided they won't sink, won't submit, and won't let someone else's behavior dictate their identity. More than 2,000 years ago, the Stoics understood this principle clearly. Epictetus, born into slavery and later respected by Rome's elite, taught that events themselves don't shape us, but our responses to them do. That insight carries serious weight. Your character, and the respect you receive, isn't determined by what you face, but by how you answer it, especially in moments of conflict. This leads to a simple truth. Victory doesn't require volume, it requires accuracy. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire while remaining composed, not because he lacked strength, but because he understood something most people miss. Self-mastery is situational mastery. His calm was not passivity. It was leverage. Discipline was his force. Today's world rewards instant reactions, sharp tongues, and emotional outbursts. But the individual who responds thoughtfully stands out. They become memorable. And people listen to those who are rare, even when they disagree with them. Seneca warned that speaking in anger is like firing an arrow without aiming. One careless sentence can undo trust, sever opportunities, or erase hard-earned respect. So what follows are not lines meant to shame or overpower anyone. They are instruments of dignity, ways to set limits without hostility, ways to protect your ground without raising your voice. Because when your words are steady, deliberate, and clear, you're no longer fighting for control, you already have it. Response 3. Let's continue this when we can speak with respect. Some exchanges aren't real discussions. They're assaults dressed up as conversation. The other person talks over you, escalates emotionally, and treats force as truth. But you are never required to play along. This statement isn't avoidance, it's principle, calm, firm, and unmistakable. Picture someone cutting you off repeatedly, their tone sharp and aggressive. Instead of matching their energy, you pause, breathe, and say that you're willing to talk but only with mutual respect. Instantly, the focus shifts. The subject no longer matters. What matters is whether the conversation deserves to continue at all. Epictetus taught that while you can't govern other people's actions, you are fully responsible for what you tolerate. By using this response, you define your boundary without explanation or apology. You make it clear, disrespect disqualifies dialogue, and often that realization alone brings silence. Response 4. I'm choosing to end this discussion. There are times when continuing serves no purpose. The other person isn't trying to understand, you're just a target for their need to dominate. That's when this line becomes essential. It's brief, definitive, and grounded. It doesn't negotiate. It concludes. Imagine being provoked repeatedly, every sentence designed to pull a reaction from you. Instead of exploding, you steady yourself and calmly state that you're done engaging. The effect is immediate. The emotional tug-of-war stops, and control returns to where it belongs with you. Marcus Aurelius wrote that harm only exists if you consent to it. Choosing to disengage isn't weakness. It's a decision to protect your energy and self-respect. You're not retreating, you're prioritizing peace over ego. And those who witness this understand something important. You don't need the final word to hold authority. Sometimes the strongest move is closing the door. Response 5. I respect your view, but I don't agree with it. Not every disagreement is hostile. Sometimes it comes from people close to you, friends, co-workers, family who push their beliefs with good intentions, but little awareness. That's when you need a response that acknowledges them without surrendering yourself. This phrase does exactly that. It recognizes their perspective while clearly affirming your own. No debate, no defensiveness, just definition. Imagine someone insisting you adopt their opinion, their decision, their judgment. Instead of arguing or staying silent to keep the peace, you calmly state that you respect their stance but you stand elsewhere. The conversation stops pressing forward because there's nothing to attack. You didn't reject them. You simply refuse to abandon your autonomy. Seneca warned that living under the weight of others' opinions is the most suffocating form of captivity. This response is how you step out of that cage. It says, I decide for myself. And when people realize they can't push you, something interesting happens. They begin to respect you more. You now have 5 responses that don't just shield you, they strengthen you. 5 statements that, when delivered with calm assurance, bring conversations to a halt. Not because you dominated anyone, but because you demonstrated composure and self-command. Respect is never forced. It's earned through character. Let's revisit them briefly. You don't need to be loud to be correct. Someone's tone reflects them, not you. Respect is a requirement for dialogue. Peace is worth more than endless debate. And agreement is not an obligation. Practice these. Carry them into daily life. You'll notice people listen more closely and provoke you less. Not because you intimidate them, but because you're grounded, deliberate, and difficult to manipulate. Here at Deep Mind, the goal is simple: to help you think clearly, speak precisely, and act with the wisdom that has endured for centuries. If this resonates, stay connected. What's ahead will challenge and sharpen you. And tell me in the comments, which of these will you use first? I want to hear your choice.